At the start of Season 1, players are hyped to finally be set free from the shackles of the server slam and onto the world of Tau City 4. Countless players stood ready to pick a shell to main. Many others and I set our eyes on Recon. We locked in our decision, ready to master the shell, but something wasn't right. Her drone was bugged. Her ultimate gave away your position and gave you way too much useless information. And you could almost get the same value of her ultimate by just hitting a tad on a roof somewhere for free. If you were safe to do so, that is. Recon just didn't feel right. She felt weak. She didn't have any movement like other characters, which is fine because she should be the information character. But if her information ability was kind of useless, and her drone just couldn't hone onto enemies, what was she? She was just a shell of a character. All of this changed when the mid-season patch dropped. They fixed her drone, which could now almost perfectly hone onto runners. They made her ult not give you away nearly as much, while also providing far better information. The ult could now track targets as they moved, while distinguishing whether it was a player or a UESC bot. People started to slowly pick her back up. Alienated players gave her another shot. And the community loved it. It was a massive buff, and now Recon can finally perform what she was meant to be. A shell that hunted for players, cracked their shields. If they ran, she would toss her drone at them, adding additional pressure. If the drone struck true, it would overheat them, slowing them down. She would approach with her mandible-esque form, her plastic worm-molded face outstretched, scanning, striking fear into her enemies before finally eliminating them. Through these buffs, Recon has become a true powerhouse. Most top Cryo Archive teams are running her. If you know the map you are on is going to have tight corners and buildings to play in, Recon is the shell to play, whether you are solo queuing or in a team. Knowing where potential enemies might be lurking is an incredible advantage to have, especially over other teams who might not be running her. There's a new meta emerging for Marathon, and that is with Recon. Recon seems fairly simple on the surface. Press a button and a little tiny tick chases after your enemies. Just press a button and get wall hacks. And that's fair if you just wanted to play Recon, but to play her well requires a lot more than just pressing buttons. First, you need great positioning, since she doesn't have any movement abilities. You need to play well with your team, constantly observing them and choosing how best to support them based on their actions. However, theory is one thing, but application is another. To help you master Recon, I've broken down some of my own gameplay into what works, and more importantly, what doesn't. Moreover, I'll break down the best weapons, implants, cores, consumables, and utility you should always have on you to help you win more fights. Let's start with the first clip, which showcases some great positioning and team play. As a Recon, I'm always aware not to be in the front line. I back up here. My team isn't set up to fight. My destroyer isn't in the front line, and my triage isn't behind me giving me cover. I wait to fully push down the stairs until my destroyer takes aggro from the side. Once I see my destroyer get a kill, I know enemies might be staring at my destroyer instead, so I push the stairs immediately. Now I'm in the front line here, but it doesn't matter since my destroyer is right behind me and I have cover on my left. Quick aside, it's important to back up immediately when encountering a team since the meta in Cryo is to throw nades as soon as you see somebody. Anyway, here I hug right while healing so I don't get shot, but honestly if the enemy were better, I would have just died. So that was a mistake on my part. I should have held the corner where I killed the two enemies and healed or pushed up without healing to support my triage since I had enough HP for a 2v1. Almost as soon as we wipe this team, another shows up. Here I am communicating to back up since I know they are going to be throwing frags as soon as they see us, and my ult and tactical are almost back up. I throw my drone to delay since we need time to recharge my ult and heal up. Once I get my ult, I pop it and re-aggress. I know I'm on the front line, so I push up to some cover here and wait for my destroyer to assist. My destroyer panics a bit when bots respawn, which delays him. I should have told him I was waiting for him to support me, but I didn't. Here I backed out because I was concerned about the UESC and decided it would be better for us to clear them, so I forget about positioning and leave my triage alone in the front line while I clear the bots. Once I realize he's in the front, I tell him he's alone, but he dies at the same time. I get a knock, which helps my triage res himself, and I back up, pop a panacea, and re-aggress. I'm always careful to bring thermal optics, especially in cryo, since assassins in smoke are really good at cutting off vision in the small hallways that permeate the whole map. Signal jammers can counter my counter of bringing thermals, but my optics were a big help in this fight. I wait in the smoke a bit with my thermals, covering for my teammate who got downed again. The destroyer and Recon push me with knives, and I switch to my Mizraya and down both of them. Luckily, at this point in the fight, I've done enough damage that my destroyer can just run in there and clean up the rest of the enemies.
Nice. Healing real quick. With you?
Got him.
Nice, good fucking
Oh my
shit,
god, that hurting hands came in so fucking clutch.
Oh my god.
Now is the time I list various potential builds with Recon, depending on what you have in your vault. I'll list the best ones first, then second best, and so on. Let me first start with the weapons. For your primary, there are several options. The Bully, Volley Rifle, M77, the Demolition HMG, Retaliator LMG, with purple or blue attachments only, and the V75 Scar are weapons I personally run often. All of them are solid options, but the Bully remains the best in my opinion. It can cover a lot of ranges and packs a punch. In terms of secondaries, it really depends. From the mid-season patch, the railguns have seen a massive spike in use rate. In Ranked and Cryo Archive, railguns, especially with gold mods, are one of the two best options to use. If you are playing on a pre-made team, at least one person needs to be running a railgun at all times, and that best works out with Recon. As I mentioned earlier, Recon needs to be a midliner or a backliner depending on the team comp. Never try to go in first unless you have full faith that is going to be the best play. For example, if you know someone is going to be caught off guard based on your scans. Having a railgun on Recon pairs really well with how she should position herself. Your teammates can have other meta guns that pair well with their shell and positioning. For example, destroyers rocking shotguns since they can dash, shoot in the air, and play bubbles really well. And assassins rocking SMGs since they can have thermals on them. Recon can do well with all three options, but in my opinion, I prefer railguns first, shotguns second, and SMGs third, unless I'm rocking the Bully as my primary, since it functions more like an AR due to its range capabilities. In terms of implants, here are my top picks. Augmented capacitors for the head, survival kit for the torso, and strike kit for the leg implant. This combined with some upgrades from various factions boosts most of the primary stats Recon needs close to or at 100. Let me break down the most important stats from each implant. Augmented capacitors gives a faster prime recovery, the survival kit gives a longer ping duration and higher self-repair and revive speeds, and strike kit gives even more prime recovery and tactical recovery. Altogether, this allows you to get your prime and tactical ability more quickly, ping enemies for longer, and heal and revive faster. The other stats from all these implants are also nice to have as a bonus. One thing about the strike kit implant in particular is that it isn't purchasable, so you have to find it. If you happen to not have a strike kit, you can run Distance Runner instead, which gives you extra heat capacity, or Bionic Legs, which make you run faster, which is good for this shell since she doesn't have any movement abilities. If you don't have augmented capacitors, you can run Regen instead, which increases your self-repair speed. You'll have your ult less, but you can choose to use it more wisely. Now for the cores. The best combo for cores for Recon is Intuition and Echo Chamber. Echo Chamber grants extra pings to your ultimate, extending its duration, while Intuition automatically triggers an interrogation when you knock an enemy, revealing the rest of their teammates. Both of these are must-haves. These cores give you so much more uptime on Recon's best ability, her wall hacks. I have found Echo Chamber quite often in Cryo Archive and various loot spots, such as level 3 locked rooms, but I usually find some in the level 4 locked room near Panopticon and off of other Recon players. Intuition is quite rare of course, so if I don't have Intuition, which is quite likely, I try to run Hunter Killer and Echo Chamber. Hunter Killer gives you a stacking buff to your weapon's ready speed, reload speed, and stability based off of how many targets you scan, which in Cryo Archive and Outpost, you will always scan a hell of a lot of bots. Those are the best Recon cores to run. The others aren't as good, but can still perform well in certain niche scenarios. Let me explain each of her weaker cores and when to best use them. Bad Cop. Performing a finisher grants tactical and prime ability energy. Hot Pursuit. Your tracker drone travels faster and further before automatically detonating. Eye in the Sky. Scannable TADs release additional pings and remain active for longer. On the trail, increases the trail left by Stalker Protocol, the footsteps left by enemies with cracked shields, and defeating hostiles affected by Stalker Protocol reduces generated heat. Predator. Gain increased sprint speed and heat cooldown rate when your tracker drone attacks a target. Your tracker drone overheats targets for an increased duration. Cluster Payload. Your tracker drone detonates into shrapnel submunitions that explode on impact, dealing additional damage. And finally, Early Warning System. You receive an alert on your HUD when a hostile runner is nearby. Out of all these cores, here are the best ones to combo. Usually I combine the cores that affect the tracking drones together, such as Hot Pursuit and Predator, or Hot Pursuit and Cluster Payload. The other cores don't really combo as well together, but here's what I run if I have nothing else. Bad Cop can help recharge your tactical and ult much quicker, so if a third party happens, you'll have your ult and tactical to use in response. On the Trail, Eye in the Sky, and Early Warning System are the worst cores. They can have their uses, but in general, never run these over the others. I am particularly disappointed with Early Warning System, and I'll explain why. The meta team comp usually involves having Recon, right? The thing is, if you are playing Recon and you are being scanned by a Recon, it gives you an alert on your HUD. This core basically does that even if you aren't being scanned by a Recon, which sounds pretty good. But because the whole meta as of right now currently revolves around Recon being incredibly useful with wall hacks, with some teams even running 2 Recons that have almost constant uptime on her ult, this core loses a lot of its usefulness. With the mid-season patch, Recon has finally found her footing, perhaps even gained a third leg with how much she's been carrying. She's a fantastic shell to be playing in Marathon, and gives your team information only she can provide, especially on smaller close-range maps like Cryo Archive and Outpost. Just don't forget to build Prime Recovery and use the hell out of energy amps. If you haven't given her a shot yet, please do, and let me know in the comments below if you have any other suggestions for other shells or videos. Please leave a like and subscribe if you made it this far, and thank you for watching.